Shabbat shalom. Good morning.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone.
We were both
Oh
doing
my
our
gosh, that
little
music gets me
dance.
every time. I know, yeah, behind the scenes. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Good morning.
Yeah. It's a good way to wake up in the morning. Thanks
That's
for
right.
joining us. As you join us this morning, feel free to say Shabbat shalom in the chat. Let us know you're here. We're more than it's easy for us to talk to each other and just for Charlie and I to schmooze, but we do recognize that there may be some people who are joining us this morning as well, and we'd like to know who you are so we can
That's
include
true.
you in our discussion in some way, in whatever way possible. Charlie, we just spent most of yesterday morning together, so it's nice to be back.
That's right.
Again
Long
together.
time no see.
Yeah. For the day school and then the preschool, doing Shabbat every Friday. It's nice to be able to do a Saturday morning with you as well.
I agree.
So in that theme of how wonderful it is to be together.
That's right. Wow. Here we go, everyone. Little Hine Matov, how beautiful it is to be together. Hine Matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine Matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad.
As I was telling you before we started, Charlie, I get up pretty early in the morning. It's either the dog or one of my children who wakes me up. And this morning was really nice because usually I don't get to be with you on a Saturday morning. I'm usually having to get dressed and go out and do a bar mitzvah. But this morning I'm at home, so I sat in the backyard. I read a little bit of the Torah portion. I talked to one of my daughters about, I don't even remember what it was, another one, and had a little bit of breakfast with me. It was just a miracle-filled morning of just the most important things in my life surrounding me for the last 2 hours or so. And what I love about the fact that we have these daily miracles that we're supposed to articulate, that we're supposed to say them out loud, is that we're not supposed to go through any day taking for granted all of those little miracles, right? And so easy for us to do that.
It's so easy. It is.
Right? It's so easy. In the world, it's as if the world, as it is turning, is trying to turn us and spin us and make us dizzy enough to forget those simple things that actually are the most important. Right? They talk about how the most valuable things in the world are the things that are the most plentiful: water and air. We need those. Those are the most valuable things we actually need.
It's true.
And yet we take them completely for granted. And so how do we really recenter ourselves? So if you're joining us in a minute, Charlie's going to chant the daily miracles, this Nisim B'chol Yom. But share with us, what's your miracle this morning? What are you thinking about? Merle, of course, wonderful to see you. Shabbat Shalom, or at least to see you this way. But what are you thinking about? What are the miracles in your life this morning? What do you want to be focusing on more? And with that, Charlie.
Let's join. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'enai utnuma me'af apai. Amen. Oh, okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen.
Yeah, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura.
Amen.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. So yeah, you shouldn't have to say amen to your own blessing. You're not supposed to
I
do
was gonna
that.
say, well, normally I do, but when you started doing amen, I was like, oh, we gotta call and response. I love this.
Yeah, because traditionally the whole idea of the person saying amen is the person who's not saying the blessing. It's that
That's the whole
everyone else
meaning
is
of amen.
right. Right.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
it's a
I mean,
partnership. I want to just point out
amen.
that amen. Phyllis is focusing on peace, the miracle of peace, and the importance of peace this morning. And Merle is not feeling so great this morning, so focusing on health. And some days are a challenge. So Merle, sending you lots of strength, hoping that in the midst of you not feeling so well, that you can still find, and I know I'm sure you can still find around you all the miracles that can hopefully offer you a little bit of strength as you're going through this tough morning today. So we're thinking about you, and lots of miracles and lots of blessings going out to the whole world. Charlie, first, what's your? I shared my miracle. What's your miracle today? What are you focusing on today?
I feel like a sense of lightness that I haven't felt in a few days. And I'm really I'm grateful for that. You know, it doesn't feel as heavy, and that's a nice feeling. And I'm really taking time to appreciate that. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
I think one miracle from this week that I'm gonna promote you now, because you deserve it. You are a humble person, and I have to point out we're in the book of Numbers that focuses so much on leadership. One of the major themes that I find in the book of Numbers that I love about this book, even though it's because it's mostly read in the summer, most people don't really understand the depth and complexity of the book of Numbers. But the theme of leadership is really key in this book, and we have leadership models such as Korach, which we're going to read about in a few weeks, of the wrong model of leadership. But we have Moses, who, despite his flaws, is a humble man and a humble leader. And one of the things that our tradition teaches is that humility is a key virtue in becoming a good leader and being a good leader. And so as an artist, and I deem you also a leader, I think one of your wonderful qualities is your humility. So you wouldn't have brought this up if I'm not going to bring it up, but you did release your full album this week.
I did,
which is very exciting, an album that you put together, and you also have a phenomenal music video for one of your songs. And when I saw it, I asked you, can we please play it this morning, and then for you to talk about it a little, because I think another really important element of leadership is art and creativity, and that it doesn't matter what kind of job we are in, that you, almost by definition of your role, you are an artist. But someone like me, or someone who works in finance, may not be deemed an artist, right? We may be deemed and pigeonholed in a certain type of profession. And yet I think all of us have the capability of bringing art alive and using our creativity to actually be artists in whatever work that we do. And so I would love to share that video. And I don't know if you want to say something before it, if you just want to talk after it. Introduce it for us, please.
Okay, I'll just say a small thing, because there's a little bit in the beginning of the video that will explain a lot of what I would intro anyway. First of all, I want to say thank you. Being a humble person is something that I think I was instilled with when I was younger, and I try to do as much as I possibly can. So whenever somebody gives me that compliment, it feels like a big one. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. And the video is a cool representation of what it looks like to see through my eyes, because I have a retinal eye disease. The video will explain that for a second. And we chose this location to share the video because the blessing in the actual song itself, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim, comes from Nasim b'chol yom, comes from those daily miracles. And you'll see the translation later on, but really it's an opportunity to talk about what blindness is and how we open and close our blinders to the world and what we choose to see and what we don't, and how God might be involved in that process. So, yeah, I'm excited for you guys to see it and to share it with you.
Right, the world premiere on Wilshire Boulevard Temple's Saturday morning service.
That's right, the world premiere.
The world premiere. The song entitled "Blind" by Charlie Kramer.
Yep.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. I am blind to the light that's right beside me. I am blind to the light that shines before me. I am blind to the shadows all around me, to the absence of the blessings that are right before my eyes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. I am blind and I can see what's right before me. I am blind and I can hear the world around me. I am blind and I can feel the strength inside me. The beauty in our world seems beyond our eyes.
Wow. Congratulations.
Oh. Thank you.
Really beautiful and powerful. The fact that we get to see the wide view, the way that those of us who are very blessed with, the eyesight that we have compared to the very focused view that you have side by side is really intense and such a great way to build for those of us who don't know what it's like to experience what you experience, to build that empathy. How do we build empathy in the world? We create avenues by which people can either feel or experience or feel connected to the pain or the experiences or the adventures of others. And I think art is one of the most powerful ways in which we can do that. And I think this video does that really well. So thank you. Anything else you want to share about this? Because I have one question also when you're done.
Yeah, I would say that we had to zoom in. You can definitely tell that like my view is zoomed in, but that's only because my window is so small that if we showed it on the screen, it would be such like a tiny little circle that it wouldn't be visible. So that's why it looks like it's so zoomed in, just because we wanted to be able to like make sure you could see what I could see. But for me, it's interesting. Like people are like, wow, that must be so hard. It must be so horrible, or like I feel so bad. But that's actually not the reason I created it. I don't really think about it all that much because it's my life. I've had it my whole life. I was diagnosed when I was 5. So I think it's a really cool play just to show people like, and I wanted to take people through my day because I wanted to show that like life is still good. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean that you have a bad life. And I think oftentimes people have that understanding, and it's actually a really important thing to remember, that you can be disabled and live a better life than someone who is completely able in normal terms, right? So that's really a lot of what I wanted to share as well. And also to integrate it with this really powerful prayer was really fun. And it was a really fun day shooting the video too.
Yeah. And also I think talking about the fact that you can actually have a more meaningful life when you are sitting and you're having that meal with that woman, and the focus of your view is purely just on her face and not the distractions of the rest of the world, that there are moments where you're able to actually be hyper focused in a way that many of us may get distracted by the things that are in our periphery, and that you have the ability to really focus in. And that's something that we all could be working on.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't get distracted by many things on my periphery. So yeah, you're right.
That's true. I just had a question. It seemed to be that there was some kind of ritual or something. You took out the piece and you put it between 2 coins. What was that?
So,
just because as someone who's a rabbi, I'm always fascinated by ritual and personal rituals.
I think I've been doing this since like maybe middle school or high school. So like 15 years or something like that. Basically what I do is I have a series of coins, and this one is one that my dad gave me, and he kept it when he was working at UPS. And I think it was when I was 18, he gave it to me. And then I also have another coin from my grandpa, who's not with me. He's the one Irish part of the family. So I'm a quarter Irish. That's where all the red beard and the blonde comes from. And, then I have a coin from Australia from my time that I spent in Australia. I spent a year out there. And then I just take a different fortune every single day, and I read it. I put it in my pocket. This one is very fortune-y. I actually like the ones that are more like talking about life in general. I don't really like the ones that are like, a family reunion will happen in the coming months and it will be a tremendous success. It's like, oh, I don't want to like predict the future as much. I like the ones that set an intention for my day. So it's not my favorite one today, but that's okay. And then I also, didn't make the cut, but this is actually another one that I've added recently. And it's a series of cards that I take every single day. And if you follow me on Instagram, every now and then I put up these cards and I show people what it is. And it's one of the 72 3-letter names of God. So this one is Hey, Hey, Ayin. And I'll read what it says to you. It's unconditional love. So I take this as an intention every single day. And I always do this before I look at my phone or anything like that in the outside world. Say, like attracts like. When I emulate the Creator's love for all humankind, I bring love into my own life. I create harmony between myself and other people, and between humanity and the natural world. So just a nice thing that you can do, and then you can meditate and breathe in on the letters. So for me, it really grounds me. It's just something that I do every single morning that gives me a really beautiful start to my day, that starts my day in meeting instead of starting my day with busyness and emails and all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone who's watching, do you have a ritual? What's your daily ritual or weekly ritual that allows you to feel grounded or to feel centered or to help you refocus on what matters in your life, feel free to share that in the chat. We'd love to hear if you have a ritual as well. I feel like we've definitely warmed up. And once we've warmed up, we sit up a little straighter in our chair, or we stand up and we join together in Baruch Hu. We are ready to pray.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yana nai nai nai, 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 yana nai nai nai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yana nai nai nai, 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 yana nai nai nai.
Next prayer is Shema. And Charlie, I was just thinking about how every Friday, Charlie and I do Shabbat with the preschool. And halfway through the year, I told them not just to cover their eyes, but to lie down. Lie down, get comfortable, close your eyes. And these kids do it. These are 3, 4, and 5-year-olds who, despite all the energy that they have on a Friday morning, are able to lie there quietly for probably a minute and a half, which is pretty long for a kid when they're surrounded by all their friends. Yeah. And I've been thinking, if children with so much energy and so much passion for the world can actually center themselves and quiet themselves for a minute and a half, how much the more so should we as adults not only be able to do that, but should we prioritize that? And Shema every day is our reminder that we have to center ourselves. We have to remind ourselves of the unity of the world, of one, of listening. Shema is about listening. How much of our time is spent listening to the outside world, but how little time we focus on what we hear inside ourselves and following that voice. And Shema is a reminder that we just need to close our eyes for a minute and a half and listen to our own voice.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Ba'ed.
We continue with Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
You, on your new album, you have a Micha Mocha version. I'm not going to ask you to play it right now, but
Okay.
I
could. Do you want me to?
Yeah,
I can.
if you're willing
keep
to.
going. I'm willing to.
I'm curious, as an artist, why you didn't write a song for Shema. I don't think there's a song for Shema on there. You don't have a song for every prayer. I assume, purposely chose a few prayers that have significance. I'm always drawn to Micha Mocha, the concept of freedom, but I'm curious, what draws you to Micha Mocha?
Celebration. One thing I really love in life, Rabbi, is that I love celebrating the little things. Like if the day that my album came out, I ordered myself a pizza. I celebrate. I had like a little mini party. And I like celebrating Shabbat. And Micha Mocha it's not just about freedom, but it's about this story of celebration. And I wanted to create a melody that was celebratory. I actually love melodies for Micha Mocha that are also like a little bit slower and softer because it brings about freedom in a different way. But I love hearing that story of the women, literally the women dancing with their timbrels. And I try to think of what that might sound like now compared to what it would have sounded like a long time ago. Because if I wrote what they were singing, no one would like it, I don't think. It's a little dated. It's a little dated. So I tried to write something that was a little bit more modern and also spoke to me, but felt like a celebration. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, with that,
here you go. All right, here. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא, תהילו ספלת, נורא, תהילו ספלת. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi kamocha ba'elim, Adonai. Mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh. Mi kamocha ba'elim, Adonai. Mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefele. Nora tehilot osefele. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai?
yeah, love it.
Thank you.
The modern
I'm excited to
Micha
sing it
Mocha.
with like a big room of people, get everyone clapping their hands like really
yeah.
up, and it'll be fun. It's a celebration.
We will have many times where I feel like we're going to be doing that together.
I hope
That'll be
so.
great.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, with that joy, with that celebration, we move into the Amidah. which is a recognition, just as you were saying, Charlie, that you want to bring kind of the memory of those women dancing at the sea millennia ago, and you want to bring it into today's world. The Amidah, really in the beginning with Avot V'Imahot, is really a remembrance, but also a way in which we want to take those ancestors. We want to take the memories of the people who came before us. We want to find strength in those memories to help catapult us into the future and to ground us in today's world. So that's really what the Amidah begins with. And then it moves into this idea of strength with Giverot. How do we find strength? How does God strengthen us? So with that in mind, you can sit up a little straighter. You can stand up if you'd like to. We continue now with the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh Hakol V'Zocher Chaste Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechayei hakol ata rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar micha mocha baal gevurot umido melach melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol. Continue now.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we continue now with our own silent meditation. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'goali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'goali. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali.
At this point, we move into the Torah service. In a minute, Charlie is going to be chanting from this week's Torah portion. As I mentioned before, we're in the book of Numbers, Bamidbar. We're in the second Torah portion called Naso. Lots of good information, some interesting themes in this week's Torah portion, but there is a central piece that I really felt was necessary for us to chant and to hear. So Charlie will be chanting that in a minute after we do the blessings before and after. I'm going to be the audience, so you don't have to do your own blessing. Okay.
That's good. Good talk. All right, here we go. Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Zot Torat Hanazir asher yidor Korbano ladonai al nizro milvad asher tasig yado kefi nidro asher yidor ken yaaseh al torat nizro. Daber el Aharon ve'el benav lemor ko Tivarchu et bnei Yisrael amor lahem. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom v'samu et shmi el bnei Yisrael v'ani avarchem.
Yeshkoach. Before you do the blessing after, I'm just going to read the translation since people don't have it with them. Just so everyone knows, we're at chapter 6, starting at verse 21 through verse 27 of Book of Numbers, and what Charlie just chanted so beautifully. Such is the obligation of a Nazirite, except that those who vow an offering to Adonai of what they can afford, beyond their Nazirite requirements, must do exactly according to the vow that they have made beyond their obligation as Nazirites. Adonai spoke to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons, thus shall you bless the people of Israel. Say to them, Adonai bless you and protect you. Adonai deal kindly and graciously with you. Adonai bestow divine favor upon you and grant you peace. Thus they shall link my name with the people of Israel, and I will bless them." The blessing after.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshkoach, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to share a few thoughts on these lines, because they are pretty famous. If you were paying attention, I have to say this is a blessing that I offer my children every Friday night. It's a blessing that anytime I proceed over a bar bat mitzvah, at the end of the service, the cantor and I offer this blessing to the bar bat mitzvah. Weddings I do. At my own wedding, I receive this blessing. This is the only defined blessing in the Torah. There are no others. There are a lot of prayers that we have that come from the Torah itself, but this is the only one that actually is clearly defined to be a universal prayer to be shared with the world in the Torah, and it's in this week's Torah portion. So I want to just break it down for you a little by by showing you. I'll just put it up on the screen so you can see it. Right, here it is. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. 3 lines. There are 2 blessings per line. And as you see, it expands from 3 words to 5 words to 7 words per line. So many ways in which we can interpret this. The one way that I tend to really like is, number one, the expansiveness of God's blessing to us. That this is a blessing and a prayer that expands with each line. First with the 3, then the 5, and then the 7. But in addition to that, that has a double blessing within each line, right? So may God bless you and protect you. The first line has 2 blessings in it. The second line, may God's face shine upon you. That's the first one. And comfort you. That's the second one. And then on the third line, may God turn to you and may God grant you peace. So every single one of these lines has a double blessing in it, and it expands. This expansiveness of God's blessings in our life. The fact that this is not a blessing that one person in particular is allowed to bestow on everyone else, but that we have gotten to the point in our society and in our tradition where this is a blessing that anyone can offer to anyone else. The democratization, so to speak, of offering blessings and the receiving of blessings. It doesn't require a rabbi in order for you to give a blessing or for you to receive a blessing. How is it that we can continue to bring this expansiveness of God's blessings into our lives? And how do we do it in a way that actually, somewhat as one tradition and commentary describes it, goes from the idea of may you have enough in your life. That's the first line. May God bless you and protect you. That, in other words, may God give you what you need to survive. That usually this traditionally thought of, may God provide you with the sustenance that you need monetarily and otherwise to just get through life. The second line expands that to say, may you recognize what and know what you have in your life. May you be blessed with the things you need. Then may you also recognize and know what you already have in your life, right? We've been talking a lot this morning about what it means to recognize those little things around you, the daily miracles, those moments that inspire us. Do you actually recognize and know that? And then the third line, expanding even beyond that, how can you be satisfied with what you have? Shalom, as you know, this word shalom, it doesn't just mean hello, goodbye, and peace. It really comes from this idea of shalem, which means wholeness. And the final blessing that we have in this priestly blessing is this idea of wholeness. What is wholeness? Wholeness is when we are completely satisfied with what we have in our life. When we come to terms with not what's missing, but what fulfills us and what fills us up. And so the third and final blessing of this threefold blessing is really the recognition. Can you be blessed with that place? Can you get to that place with yourself where you can be completely satisfied with what you have in your life? Now, that doesn't mean that we get thrown for a loop, that there are things in our life that are challenging, that of course we don't want those things in our life, but the things that actually ground us, the things that we can look to that are blessings and are fulfilling elements of our life, can we know that that's enough, right? We had Shavuot a couple weeks ago. The 10th commandment that we receive is you shall not covet. And to me, I think that's the most important of the 10 commandments, because I think if we can really rely on the idea that we don't have to be thinking and wanting what other people have, we can be satisfied with what we have, then we are not tempted by some of those other commandments that are telling us not to steal or not to lie. How can we feel fulfilled? And this threefold blessing, this priestly blessing that we are supposed to bestow upon our children, our grandchildren, that we are supposed to bestow on B'nai Mitzvah as they transition into more responsibility. When we stand under the chuppah, I get to stand under the chuppah, but those who are in the audience who stand up at the end of the ceremony, right before the breaking of the glass, and the couple is wrapped in a talit and they receive this blessing. These are all transitional moments where we're supposed to recognize that, yes, I have plenty in my life. I know what I have and I'm comfortable with that. And I don't need what other people have. I am satisfied. I am fulfilled. I have wholeness, shlema. I have shalom in my life. the centrality of this blessing, the importance of this blessing, the importance of us taking moments in our week to offer blessings to other people. Yes, we need to offer blessings to ourselves more than we do. That's true. But we also have a power that our tradition is giving to us, that we have the power to bless other people. That's an incredible power, right? And when we do this blessing, we usually put our hands on the shoulders of someone or on their head. There is the touch, there is the intimacy that comes with the blessing of receiving and giving a blessing. So let's not intellectualize it too much. How can we get back in touch with the spiritual connectedness that comes with a blessing such as this, that allows us to physically be in contact with someone else, but also spiritually says, there is wholeness in the world. I can be grateful despite all the darkness that may be out there, despite the challenges and the anxiety. I have enough. I am whole and I am blessed. And that's what I take from this blessing today. So I hope you have a little time this Shabbat to reflect on the priestly blessing and the role it can play in your life.
Yasher koach. I learned something new. That was awesome. Thank you.
Well, there we go. We also know that there is desperate need for healing out there. We even had Merle earlier talking about how she's having a tough morning today. So we do want to offer the Mishaberach prayer. I'm just trying to find the slides for it since I'm running solo with Charlie here. Okay, found it. So if there are people whom you're thinking of who are in need of some healing, please feel free to share their name in the chat and I'll read them out after the Mishaberach, sending lots of blessings of hope and peace and strength to so many people.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu, may the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu, those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A few names to add. Julie Gardner, Bob Parrott, Bernie and Shirley Malamud, Alan Schlossberg, Dan Weir, again, Dan Weir and Alan Schlossberg, Steve Tolkien and Jeff Garr. So sending blessings and prayers of healing to all of them and many others as well. A few announcements before we move to the conclusion of our service. I feel like, Charlie, you and I could go on for hours, but don't want to keep people too long. Couple of quick announcements. Number one, tomorrow morning, you can join me at 11 o'clock. There's still time to sign up. You can go look at yesterday's Shabbat message at the bottom if you want to sign up and join me. Story Pirates is this great podcast where children from ages 3 all the way up through middle school submit stories to this podcast. And then the actors take some of the stories and create either full songs out of them or make them into stories that are extremely well produced and then put them on this podcast. But every child who sends in some kind of story gets a personalized response from Story Pirates. So this is just a little way we can give back and volunteer our time for 1 hour to read some of the stories that have been submitted to this podcast and to then create personalized responses so that each of these children will receive a response for the story they submitted. My girls have submitted stories and have received wonderful responses. So it's really nice to be able to do this. A great way to just give back 1 hour on your Sunday morning. So feel free to sign up today if you'd like to do that. This next week marks the 1 year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. So on Monday night, please join Rabbi Susan Nanis and this very esteemed panel to talk about what does it mean that we are now a year out. Where are we now as a society? Where are we as a Jewish community? Where are we in terms of partnerships and collaboration? And what does the next year look like? So that's on Monday night. You can follow us on social media. We'd love for you to do that. And additionally, we will be starting to do in-person services. So starting the second week in June on Friday nights only, we will be doing in-person services and always still streaming. And Saturday morning, we are still going to be offering this for the proud, strong minion that we have on Saturday mornings. We're going to continue doing that, hopefully into the future, as I think it's really nice that we create this space. So you'll get information soon. And if you want to come in person and experience Shabbat services, you can do that. And you'll be receiving more information about that. Charlie, plug. How do we follow you, and where do we find out where can we find this album that we saw that video for?
You can go to my website, charliekramervision.com. You can also stream it literally anywhere. You just search my name in Spotify, YouTube, whatever. You can find it for free. And there's also a deluxe edition that includes some meditations and an extra song and Behind the Music podcast. If you're interested in anything like that, you can go ahead and support me, and that's on my website. And follow me on all the same platforms, Charlie Kramer Vision on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere else. Thank you, awesome. Guys.
Thank you. All right, with that, we are going to move into Mourner's Kaddish. We'll, of course, offer the names of Shloshim and Yahrzeit, but feel free to also add some names into the chat if you want. And after that, we will join together for Mourner's Kaddish. We begin by remembering those who have passed away in the past month, the period of Shloshim. Eli Brode, Lely Cordova, Carolyn Tamar Davidson, Rabbi Morley Feinstein, Len Foreman, Marjorie Gould, Gary Kelson, Carol Grace Salinas, Don Schwartz, Norma Joy Siegel. On this Shabbat, we commemorate the following Yahrzeits: Marion Burke Allen, Lena Barkin, Jack Barnes, Irving Barron, Jenny Berman, Jonathan Blitz, Janice Brooks, Ann Brown, Sandra Brown, Vanessa Brown, Janice Catafo, Alan Chatkin, Morton Cohen, Raul Kokoru, Marion Corday, Henche Corper, Levi Corper, Ramat Dagan, Samuel Dickman, Marie Dolgener, Helen Doran, Helen Epstein, Samuel Epstein, Gerald Bruce Fetterman, Burton Fine, Felix Fells, Oscar Fern, Bernard Friedman, Millicent Friedman, Doris Frost, Jenny Gable, Adolf Gansfried, Dorothy Gidlow, Ira Glassman, Herman Glick, Robert Edward Gordon, Fanny Gordon, Phil Gore, Samuel Gordon, Charlotte Clayman Green, Richard Gross, Louis Hausman, Francis Hendon, Betty Heyman, Barbara Hornitcher, Relba Immerman, Samuel Itzhaki, Rose Jaffe, Ruth Katz, Laura Keith, Beatrice Commissar, Gerald Levin, Lester Levy, David Lubitz, Victor Ludwig, Winifred Melman, Lenore Meltzer, Diana Menzer, Monafar Danesh Mogadan, Edna Mosk, Blanche Nevitt, Betty Bemmel Knight, Arthur Platt, Philip Rand, Paul Rosenthal, Shirley Ross, Alan Rowe, Frida Sade, Mel Saltzman, Philip Sandler, Marjorie Schwartz, Bertha Shapiro, Samuel Shapiro, Sarah Shapiro, Louis Sherman, Esther Shore, Nettie Shrallo, Lawrence Silberkleit, Blanche Sklar, Oscar Srer, Jenny Rose Stein, Selma Stone, Izzy Title, Sorrel Trope, Ernest Warsow, Emily Weinfeld, Murray Weingrod, Geraldine Woolworth, Melvin Wyckoff, Harvey Yatman, Gablan Farhan Zawadeh, Anita Zellman. We also think of all the innocent people who have died in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. We now join together in Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chaychon uv'yomechon uv'chay d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da miran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru v'imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Amen.
Little Kiddush and Motzi.
Got to. And then maybe one more thing.
Yes.
One more thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you got a Kiddush cup, put it up. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Beautiful. Now, L'chaim for our motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Amen. And in the spirit of the blessing that we just talked about that's in this week's Torah portion, I want to offer this blessing both to you, Charlie, and to anyone else who is watching. And may you pass that blessing on. I hope maybe on this Shabbat you can find a way to offer this blessing to someone else in your life. You don't even have to be in person as we're offering it now. You can call someone, you can FaceTime them, you can send them a text, though I don't think that's as powerful. So use your voice to somehow bestow a blessing on someone else, as we do in our tradition. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's light shine on you and comfort you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God always turn to you and bring you peace. Together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Charlie, always a pleasure.
Always
wonderful.
a pleasure.
Thank you to everyone who tuned in this morning. Wishing you a peaceful Shabbat and have a wonderful rest of the day.